It's college football season, which means you need the unbeatable coverage of Sling TV, starting at just $35 a month. Sling has all the big games on the biggest channels like ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN3, SEC Network, ACC Network, Fox, Big Ten Network, Pac-12 Network, Longhorn Network. If they got a network, Sling's got it, all for the best price. You can string it on any device, record up to 50 hours with your included DVR space, and pause or change your service at any time. Check out sling.com for special offers. Sling, the live TV you love at a price you'll love. Try it today. Welcome to the Andy Staples Show, presented by Sling. Ari Wasserman, we got plunged headfirst into week one with the backyard brawl in Penn State, Purdue, and a pretty bad beat in Oklahoma State, Central Michigan. I really could not have scripted a better way to start this thing.
Yeah. That's the sport, man. That's why we do this. That's the games are good. They're entertaining. Crazy stuff happens. You got 2 pick sixes in the marquee games. Some almost catches that would have changed the dynamics of the way that those games ended. Some bad backdoor beats. You get the whole package of college football. Nice little taste of it. This was the Domino's cheesy bread of appetizers for Saturday.
Ooh. And there's more appetizers coming. We got games Friday night.
Friday too.
Illinois, Indiana looks like a fun one too. But this was, especially backyard brawl, Penn State, Purdue. I really felt like we got everything we wanted because the backyard brawl should have been over. Okay, it should have been over. Neil Brown should have gone forward on 4th and inches. He had a back that was, at that time, I don't know if he was averaging 17.98 a carry at that moment, but that's what he ended up averaging. And why not? He's 240 pounds. You just hand it to him. You get a couple inches, salt that game away. Instead, the craziest stuff happens because Pittsburgh goes 90-plus yards to score a touchdown. West Virginia gets the ball back. JT Daniels drops back for what appears to be an easy pitch and catch to a wide-open Bryce Ford-Wheaton, and the ball just goes through his hands, and Devonshire grabs it for a pick six, and it's Pitt up a touchdown and winning the game.
Yeah, 2 former USC quarterbacks looking good, 2 fan bases that are pissed that their coach didn't run the ball in multiple games, 2 pick sixes, 2 to-the-wire finishes. It was everything I could have imagined. I thought that the backyard brawl was about as good as it could have been advertised, and we were this close. We were an inch away from getting a potential overtime matchup in that one. So,
he sold that non-catch so well.
It didn't even occur to me that it was incomplete. It didn't even occur to me that it was incomplete. I was like, set the ball. Let's go. We got a play to run.
Yep, that's exactly right. By the way, if you want more on West Virginia, Pitt, and more on Penn State, Purdue, we put up a couple exclusive to the YouTube channel videos on Thursday night because we get excited and we just go. And so
it's a good way for us to take our stream of consciousness from text message to the metaverse.
Yes,
to the universe, to the technology verse. But yeah, so I was impressed, and I thought that both West Virginia and Pitt left that game with things to feel good about. I know that the stadium ran out of beer, and Pitt fans are going to want to drink, and West Virginia fans are going to want to drink even more. And Penn State had a gritty win. They might have put to bed a quarterback controversy that was going to go absolutely haywire.
Created by you.
Not created by you think the Penn State fans don't see what I saw?
I know.
Yeah.
But what you saw out of Sean Clifford at the end of that game, and look, Sean Clifford also threw the pick six that put them down. But that drive at the end of that game was outstanding, especially when you consider the hit he took on his left knee in the first half. Like when I saw that hit, I was like, he ain't coming. And he stayed in the game then. But then when he went out in the third quarter and they put Drew Aller in, I was like, oh, well, they must have found something and he's not coming back.
Yeah. I guess it just took an extra drive to get him all right. And that was good. But Could you imagine if Penn State would have lost, what would have happened in State College?
It would have been, and here's the thing. I think both teams were kind of on the knife's edge there, because had Penn State lost, and look, we're talking about maybe Purdue's offense making one more play, and that happens.
One more inch on a throw.
Right. Penn State loses, it's panic mode in State College. But now, I don't think the fans are particularly over the moon with the way this went down, but I think they can live with it. Purdue,
Do you
meanwhile,
think that there's going to be a quarterback discussion there still? Or do you think it got put to bed?
I think I put to bed for now. Now, I'm still curious, and we're recording this late Thursday night. So I think I will be interested to know in the next few days how Sean Clifford's knee is, because I'm not sure what happened. Did they check it out, deem it completely sound, and get him back out there? Or is he just playing on pure adrenaline, and then they're going to go figure it out over the next few days?
Yeah, and the thing
that was a horrific hit.
Important to note about Clifford is that he's a very agile, movable guy. I mean, he can run
and made some magic keeping plays alive, keeping eyes downfield a few times in this game.
Yeah, it just thinks that they're going into year 8 of the James Franklin era, and Penn State's offensive line got its butt kicked.
Well, I would say
Purdue.
Neither offensive line really covered itself in glory in that game.
Yeah. You would think that Penn State would be in a position where their lines would control that game, which probably is the most tough thing for Penn State fans to swallow at this point. But they did a good job of escaping pressure. Sean Clifford did, and made that beautiful throw that floated up in the air so perfectly, and you could just see the game won with the ball in the air. That those passes that take about 9 seconds to come down, but you know the exact result of it before it gets there. But yeah, so awesome night for the state of Pennsylvania, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. The Sheets people are happy. I think the Wawa people are happy. Maybe there's a little detente there.
Do you ever we ever have the Sheets Wawa debate, me and you?
We've probably had it before. So Sheets was the first of those two that I encountered, and I do love that screen that you're tapping at 2 a.m. asks you all sorts of filthy questions, like, you're ordering a hot dog. Would you like chili and jalapenos on this hot dog at 2:30 a.m? Sure. Yeah, I do. But Wawa,
those disgusting, filthy, talk dirty to me questions that you like at 2:30
exactly.
in the morning. Yeah.
But I will say Wawa sensed an underserved market, because the state of Florida does not have great convenience stores, and Wawa has invaded Florida.
But I thought that Wawa's entire point of invading Florida was like, oh, everybody from Philly lives in Florida when they get turned 50. Well, we're just going to follow the crowd down there.
In Boca, maybe, but not where I live. And there's like 5 Wawas in my town now. So it's like my kids ask me to go to Wawa. So I have probably moved to the Wawa side in that debate.
Sheets is better for variety, but Wawa's food is better.
Yeah. And Wawa just seems more consistent. Like what you're going to get in terms of size of store, cleanliness of store, ease of getting coffee. And Wawa coffee, they did a chocolate peanut butter coffee was their coffee of the month for a little while. Holy mackerel, that stuff was good.
Yeah, you should do a Wawa versus Publix sub challenge, hoagie challenge. I think Wawa would win that one.
That would be interesting. That would be a very tight race, I think, in this state. But no, I think the Wawa folks, the Sheets folks, pretty happy.
Yes.
Going into Friday, because Pitt won, Penn State won. It could have been so much. It could have been disaster for both.
Do you think if Pitt would have lost, it would have been disaster?
I don't think they would have been particularly thrilled about it.
No, I'm just upset because, and I know that you're happy because you're going to get the game that's going to make you spontaneously combust, which is Pitt, Tennessee next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like that. They should call that the Ass Bowl. Like, is that not the Ass Bowl?
It kind of is. Yes, you get Hendon Hooker finally getting his start against Pitt, and then Pitt, which I usually incorrectly pick, although I picked a correct outcome against the spread of a Pitt game because I had West Virginia plus 7.5. Pitt won by 7.
You know, that play where after they went up 7, Pitt did, where they kicked the ball off and the fair catch at
and
the
both
one.
guys did the fair catch signal, but they didn't see the fair catch signal
they
from the guy who
didn't
caught the
see
ball. Yeah.
The fair catch signal from the guy who caught the ball, and they spotted him at the 1, and Pitt got a safety, and you lost by the hook. That would have been the most Andy Pitt scenario of all time, and I'm actually kind of sad that it didn't happen.
This close to happening. It was unbelievable.
But that's good. You're like the
text message I sent you. I'm like, they put them at the 1.
I was like, here goes your hook, Andy. This is what you get. You're the president of the Hendon Hooker fan club, I think. You're the one who, you were the first one to identify, I love this guy. The
Tennessee fans adore him.
No, I know, but when you watched him last year, I saw the jubilance on your face.
Yes.
It was like because you were watching the bottle throwing game live
against Ole Miss.
That was the first time we actually narrated a game with alternate commentary. Yes. And it was like a kid in a candy store.
Yes, because Hendon Hooker's getting blasted and just getting up every single time. And I'm like, his teammates must love playing.
So I don't know how you're going to approach that, but I am a little upset that we don't get Pitt Penn State this year.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That would have been really fun too.
Well, and a few years ago, I mean, think about how Pitt Penn State affected Penn State in 2016.
Mm-hmm. Like
Penn State wins that game, they go to the playoff.
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know which rivalry is better. The Brawls, I read the Ross Dellinger story about it, and it just kind of brought back a lot of memories. It was a very good story that he wrote this week. And, I feel for West Virginia fans because they seem to continually lose that game. But they were on a 3-game winning streak, but the games that they do lose always seem to be
their gut
torture-ish fashion.
Yeah, and this was absolute torture because if you didn't see the play, I suggest go find a replay. It looks like the easiest pitch and catch you will ever see in your life.
And the person catching it was their most efficient receiver.
Right, and Bryce Ward-Wheaton had been amazing all game.
So
and it just
I feel bad
goes through his hands, and
he came back out on the final drive,
made a great tough catch for a first down.
Got his head beat in a little bit, and he got up, and I was really rooting for him to make a play there so that he didn't have to live with this. But that as it comes to, you're always the big this is entertainment. Those games, both of them were wildly entertaining.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people in the live videos that were like, well, these teams are all going to suck in 5 weeks. It's like, that's not even the point.
Yeah.
We were wildly
entertained.
And it was awesome. And like you said, we got games tonight when you guys are listening to this, and we've got games on Saturday. And I love it because it's just, we have a bunch of really sneaky good games, and then we have the marquee top 5 matchup at the end of the weekend. So certainly looking forward to what's ahead and the picks that we're going to make later on in the show with Nicole.
Yeah. Speaking of picks, I think we both picked Oklahoma State against Central Michigan to cover. What was it, 21? And at halftime, we're like, oh, got this one. This is in the bag.
And then they scored the first touchdown of the second half too. They were up 51-15, and they won 58-44, I think.
Yeah.
So Jim Knowles bounces from Oklahoma State, and they're giving up 44 to Central Michigan.
Well, their backups are. I don't think their starters were.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, their starters were in the game on offense at the end of it. I mean, it was getting kind of dicey there.
That was the weirdest. No, it was not the weirdest result of the night. The weirdest result of the night was Florida International Wagner. And you are excused if you weren't watching this game. If you see the video of the final play, you'll see no one was actually watching the game at the stadium either. But Wagner pushed Florida International to the edge. Wagner is up 1. Florida International scores a touchdown. They go for 2, and they walk it off. It was wild. And Florida International celebrating like they won the Super Bowl when really they beat an FCS team. But I mean,
you keep saying Wagner, you mean Bryant, right?
Bryant, I'm sorry.
It's
Bryant.
Okay, they're the same thing. I just
they're not the same thing. I'm sorry. At least I didn't call him Robert Morris.
Yeah, I mean, at least you knew where
I have Pittsburgh on the brain, so I almost said Robert Morris, but no, yes, Bryant. I'm sorry, they beat Bryant, and I mean, what's worse, needing the 2-point conversion to win that game, or losing that game? And of course, it's losing that game. So you celebrate, Panthers.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Yeah. So, of all the teams that we've watched so far this year that we have tape on, which one are you most concerned about?
Nebraska.
That was a stupid question. Because I had a different answer, but I guess mine's Nebraska too.
Yes. We want to say Thursday, the teams we saw Thursday night. I think
just in general, last week too, from week 0. Is there a team that
it's North Carolina for you, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't like that defense. I think that offense could be kind of good though.
Yeah, I mean, Downs is a stud. May looks great. The running back Amari
bad against Florida A&M.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm calling upset this week for App State. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll be wrong.
It's a 1-point spread. Is it an upset?
Yes, I guess it's not an upset. I'm calling that North Carolina is going to lose this weekend.
Well, we will get into that more with Nicole Auerbach because she's going to join us for the pick segments on Friday. Normally, that's going to be the whole show, but there were some great games Thursday night. We wanted to make sure that we talked about those games and adequately expressed our excitement for the sport.
And check out the YouTube channel because we got into we did 10 or 15 minutes on both of those big games.
Yeah.
So if you're into those and you wanted to hear more about them, it exists. It's just on YouTube.
Well, and you're going to see more of that this season because we will have the same setup we always had where on Saturday nights after the games, we're going to do the big recap show and talk about everything. And we'll go live on YouTube, but also put that out in podcast form. So when you're making your breakfast on Sunday, you can listen to it and you can send us pictures of your breakfast, which is one of my favorite things in the whole world. But on Saturdays, there'll be a lot of times where, let's say it's 3:30 in the afternoon, a noon game is wrapping up and it has been bananas bonkers. Ari and I are going to pop on YouTube and we're going to talk about it because we've decided that we get in these text chains with each other, or sometimes me and Ari and Max, or me and Ari and Nicole, and we'll say, we'll just have this whole conversation running, and we should be doing this on YouTube and including you guys, because the beauty of those YouTube live streams is that you guys can comment in real time and we can talk to you. And that was one thing I took, Ari, when we did the one on Penn State Purdue on Thursday night, was level of disappointment among Penn State fans, despite the win, seemed pretty high. They were not feeling real jazzed, even though they won.
Yeah, and it's like the spread was 3.5. So I don't know if Penn State fans were expecting they were going to come in and win by 50, but that was the game that it was always going to be. So I would be thankful that they won. And
exactly.
I would consider that a good win. I think Purdue's far away from a joke team this year. I think they're going to win some games, and to go on the road in that environment and basically pick six your way out of a win, and then have the quarterback that threw that pick six come back with a banged up knee and drive you down the field to win the game in the last minute, I think is something that you should celebrate.
It's like our friends Dan Rubenstein and Ty Hildebrand over at Solid Verbal always say, win your clunkers.
Win your clunkers.
Because losing your clunkers is a hell of a lot worse. Just ask FIU, which could have lost to Bryant. That would have been the clunkiest of the clunkiest of clunkers on a Thursday night. So Ari, I'm watching Emory Jones sling it.
Is he throwing that rifle arm of his?
Speaking of sling, I've got the Pac-12 network on Sling, so I'm watching Emory Jones sling it against Northern Arizona, and the Sun Devils are kicking butt. Now, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of games this season where the Sun Devils are kicking butt, but they certainly look good right now.
I feel bad for the NAU Lumberjacks because I feel like they're the sacrificial lamb every year to Arizona and Arizona State.
Sometimes they win, though.
Yeah, did they beat Arizona a few years ago?
I believe they did.
They did. Yeah, that's right.
Your alma mater. But
that's a talk for another day, I think.
I'm just enjoying it because it is almost 1:00 in the morning on the East Coast. there is still football on. I'm so happy, Ari. The season is here, and it continues Friday night into a great slate of games on Saturday. We will be right back. Me, Ari, and Nicole Auerbach picking games against the spread. You can join us too, and we'll tell you how during the show. It's college football season, which means you need Sling TV, where you can watch unbeatable college football coverage starting at just $35 a month. Get everything you love about college football, like rivalries, marching bands, bowl games, conference power rankings, all of it with Sling. Plus, Sling has all the biggest games on all the biggest channels like ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN3, SEC Network, ACC Network, Fox, and the Big Ten Network, and the Pac-12 Network, and the Longhorn Network, all for the best price. And the best part is getting Sling is easy. It's easy to set up and even easier to use. You can stream on any device, record up to 50 hours with your included DVR space. Plus, you won't get locked into a long-term contract. So if you're looking for the perfect place to spend your Saturdays, you need to take a look at Sling, where you can get everything you love about college football for the best price. Check out sling.com for special offers. Sling, the live TV you love at a price you'll love. Try it today. Seems like every holiday brings the expectation of cooking a show-stopping feast. But Labor Day is a little more relaxed, and it's a good reminder that it's a nice time to spend less time in the kitchen and more time having fun with the people you care about and, of course, watching football. Now through September 10th only, get a special Labor Day deal and save $150 off your first 6 meals at Freshly. Made fresh, delivered straight to your door. Freshly's not one of those where they send you a bag of food and you got to chop it up and then cook it and do all this other stuff. No. You peel it, you heat it, you eat it, and it's delicious. If you need a gluten-free diet, they have an incredible gluten-free menu. If you don't, they have a massive catalog of dishes that will make everybody in your family happy. Freshly delivers nutritious, healthy meals to you. You get delicious, nutritious, prepared meals delivered right to your door. Prepared, the key word. You don't have to chop squat. Freshly fits your lifestyle with plans tailored to every dietary preference. Choose from their freshly fit meals or try the various gluten-free, dairy-free, plant-based, carb-smart, or calorie-conscious menu options. Celebrate the holiday with Freshly's Labor Day special and spend less time in the kitchen this fall. Now through September 10th, get $150 off your first 6 meals at freshly.com/Andy22. That's $150 off at freshly.com/Andy22. Freshly.com/Andy22 for $150 off your first 6 orders if you order by September 10th. We are back, and now it is time to pick some games. Ari, we're not by ourselves this year when we're picking games. Look who's joining us. Nicole Auerbach, the host of Power Hour. You hear her every Tuesday. You see her breaking news all over the place on the college football playoff, on NCAA rules, on expansion. Nicole, welcome.
Hello. Hello. Happy to be here for picks, and I'm excited to be wrong all the time. It's going to be great.
Well, Ari has a couple demands. He feels like if you're gonna join this particular show, this episode of the show, that there are some consequences that follow sometimes when you pick incorrectly. Ari and I have a bottle of mustard on the line on the Alabama-Texas game, and look, it has to be when the mood strikes. But Ari, I'll let you discuss.
So you sent us that picture of you with Bijan Mustardson, and you were smiling. Yep. And I don't know if you meant to do this with your smile, but I almost felt like you were taunting me with those eyes because I'm going to have to eat that whole bottle. So it occurred to me that if you are going to be picking games with us on this show, and you've seen what Andy has put me through physically, emotionally, and spiritually, that if you were to be a part of the show, you're going to have to gamble, and you might lose, and you might have to eat something you don't want to eat.
All right. I'll do it to be part of the show. I'll do it.
We're also, physical challenges are welcome. You name it. We're not going to get anybody maimed.
He's embarrassed me in every possible way a human being can be embarrassed. So, I've got tiger skin.
I do not want to eat the death chip, though. I will draw the line at the death chip.
It's so funny because when I lost the death chip challenge, like my dad called me and he was legitimately worried about my well-being. My mom and my dad were like, can you just call HR? Like it makes people like go to the hospital and their noses bleed and all this stuff. I'm like, it's a chip. It's not going to do that to me. And I had COVID when I lost the first time. So I wasn't going to eat it when I had COVID. And then it was
you should have. Your taste buds might not have worked right, and it might not have been that hot.
Yeah,
would have been the correct move.
I had every COVID symptom imaginable except loss of taste, which I think is very appropriate for my disposition. But the I don't know if it could be any worse than the death chip. Andy made me do like 20 push-ups on the camera, I think, too. And I, it just like no matter what I've done, I think I've got alligator skin.
Rhino skin.
Well, great. I've got rhino skin. And but now it's like we're playing for keeps on this show, Nicole.
Okay. Deal. And I will say my review of the Bijan mustard sin is that it's not bad. Like it's got a nice kick to it. It's got like it's a Dijon base, but it's got like that like the stone ground like mustard, like a couple of the seeds in it. Honestly, pretty good. I'm gonna put it on a sandwich. Like I'll eat that.
If I lose, Nicole, should I just try to spoon? Because I love mustard. Should I just try to spoon it out and eat it plain, or should I get some like soft pretzel rods and do some? Big
it would
dips?
be delicious with the pretzel.
Okay, all right.
I know, but how many pretzels would you have to eat if you're smashing the whole bottle?
I'm almost going to root for Texas in this game. This sounds fun.
If Texas doesn't cover, or when Texas doesn't cover, and I have to eat this, I'm just going to squeeze the bottle into my mouth until it's gone. I'm just going to drink it.
Ew.
I'm not sure that's a good idea.
I just want to get it over. I don't want to have 9,000
Well,
calories of soft pretzels trying to put this thing down.
Just put it.
And feeling
like
sick.
Turkey. Get some turkey breast slices and just
all right, maybe I'll have turkey breast slices.
Baby.
I don't know.
Yes.
It's not about. It's just like it's gonna make me feel like crap because it's a lot of mustard, and like if I eat a bunch while I do it, I'm just gonna feel terrible after.
But if Bijan Robinson goes off and Texas loses by less than 17.5, I'm the one eating Bijan mustard.
My only hope is that it's 38.
You seem excited about it though.
I know.
Yeah, Andy's sick. He likes this stuff. And then he brings me along. Mustard. He likes the eating challenges. And you guys want to hear something unrelated that's really funny? So in my office over here, there's like shades on the window, but the shades are only down like 80%. So you can like see when people walk up. And every time I'm doing a podcast, like a postman or an Amazon worker walks up over here and they're wearing these like military black boots. And it's super creepy. Because like if you just look at the feet walking up, why is this person on my property? And then there's these like black military boots. It's like a scene from the Zodiac Killer. And it makes me nervous.
Are you worried that the United States Postal Service and Amazon are militarizing? And
no, I just like if you don't know, it ends up being Amazon. But like if you didn't know who it is, because you never do, because the thing is down most of the way, all you see are the military boots. So when they walk up to your front door,
these are all weather boots because they're delivering packages in all weather.
Yeah, exactly. Probably. I'm not saying that they're violent. I'm just saying that if that's all you see, it's like reminds you of a scene out of the movie The Zodiac or something. When he walks up to the car, it's terrifying.
He's upset that I called him Jim Harbaugh weird. He does not understand why I said that.
Okay.
Do you think I'm Jim Harbaugh weird, Nicole?
I mean, you two are two of the weirdest people I've ever come across in my life.
Thank you.
So I think that's fair to be in the same echelon. Sure.
Okay, I'm Jim Harbaugh weird. I just have to accept it.
Nobody wants to be normal, Ari. Come on. All right.
Being normal is boring. Don't do it.
Exactly. We have a lot of business to attend to today, though, and the first order of business is what to watch for, presented by Sling. So we're gonna give you something to watch on Friday night. There's quite a bit going on Friday night, but the game that I am very interested in, because I saw this team last week, and I can't tell if the improvement is based on the opponent from last week or the new quarterback. And they're playing another team that has a new quarterback, but may or may not start that new quarterback. It's Illinois and Indiana on Fox Sports 1. According to BetMGM, Indiana, 2.5-point favorite at home. Indiana coming off a 2-10 season, 0 for the Big Ten. Illinois coming off destroying Wyoming in week 0. Guys, what do we got?
I got Illinois. I am surprised that Indiana is favored, even though they're at home. I mean, I think there's a lot of pressure on the Hoosiers to show that 2020 wasn't a fluke and that they are able to build and win somewhat consistently in the Big Ten. But I just feel really good about what we saw out of Illinois. And again, I know the level of competition is going to be different, but it really looked like it was a great fit between Tommy DeVito and what Illinois is running. He mentioned after the game, and he was so cute. He said, like, I don't mean this as an insult, but I think this was the first game that I was not sacked in. And I was like, I think it is. I think it is. But that's great. Like, you know, you just kind of want to like, yeah, it's okay. You can be protected here. But I think he had receptions. I think he had connected with like 12 different receivers. I mean, he looked really good. The offense looked like it was in sync. I know you can do a lot of stuff and it looks easy against a team like Wyoming for Illinois, but I buy in. And I just think that is it's a well-coached team and just very solid. Indiana just has so many questions, and I'm glad that they're going to be healthier. I mean, they've just been decimated by injuries last year, but I just feel like Illinois is riding high, and I think I buy this offense.
I'm with Illinois too. I'm on the Burt train, the Brett Bielema train. I thought that they looked highly functional in the first game, and there's only one underclassman who's starting on their offensive line this year, which I think is a huge Achilles heel, as Nicole just mentioned about the sacks. And Illinois always has some sneaky good skill position talent, and you know, I'm not necessarily sure that I ever bought that Indiana was anything more than a one-hit COVID year wonder. You know, and that maybe that's kind of a harsh thing to say.
The COVID year.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they're terrible, but you know, I think Illinois actually might have a pretty solid season this year, and I was kind of on alert for that coming into the year. You know, I think that the way that Bielema has built his teams in the Big Ten in the past have been upon solid line play, and you know, a large portion of their starting lineup on both sides of the ball are upperclassmen. People who have been through the ringer a little bit and are feeling pretty good about themselves. And I think that Wyoming game, like I think Wyoming was a mess, right? They lost a ton of talent in the portal. Yes. And, you know, I don't want to read too much into that, but that's a confidence boosting win in a week 1 game. And, you know, I think they're going to ride it, especially because it's a 2-point spread.
It's a 2.5-point spread.
We're getting
Indiana
points.
Is favored. You're getting points with Illinois.
Yeah. Give me Illinois.
This is one I might be taking. If this was flipped, I think I might be taking Indiana because I was a big Connor Bazelak fan his freshman year at Missouri, the 2020 year when he came in and it looked like, okay, this guy is a future pro. He was playing hurt all last year. You never really saw what he could be. Now, they have not made any announcements. It's going to be him or Jack Tuttle. My guess is going to be Bazelak. I don't think Tom Allen forgot how to coach. I think they had a horrific injury year. Michael Penix Jr. got hurt again. And God bless Michael Penix. I hope he has a nice, healthy year at Washington and gets a chance to really show us what he can do. But I just think, I don't know. I may still take Indiana because, again, Tom Allen consistently had them playing hard, punching above their weight until it all fell apart last year. I don't think he just suddenly forgot how to do everything.
If you had to build a Big Ten football program starting next year around one coach, would you pick Tom Allen or Brett Bielema?
Probably Brett Bielema. And the getting the points thing is what kills me.
Well, so you can't talk about Tom Allen's coaching chops and then dismiss the other side of it.
Exactly. I mean, Brett Bielema is obviously a very good coach.
He was made for the Big Ten too.
He was made in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all right. So you've talked me into this, and I hate to be agreeing with both of you, but the fact that Illinois is getting points, I'm going to have to take them. And I will. Let's talk to everybody about Run Your Pool right now. Run Your Pool is partnering with us this season. We've got a pool for Andy Staples Show and Friends listeners. All of us are making picks in it. You can prove that you are better at making picks than us. We're picking against the spread. And if you have not checked out Run Your Pool yet, do it, because my guess is you're going to do this week with us and start this season's journey with us. You will probably grab a bunch of your friends and want to do an NFL pool next week, because you could do a survivor pool. You could do against the spread. You can do just about anything you want. And they also do a bunch of the other sports as well. So For our pool, you go to play.runyourpool.com/staples. That's play.runyourpool.com/staples and pick your games. Even if you miss week 0 in the Thursday games, you're still going to have plenty of games to make up ground. Trust me, we ain't getting them all right. So we got a lot of games to pick. It's a broad spectrum. You can't just pick the big ones and feel like you got it. So that's Run Your Pool, play.runyourpool.com/staples. And all right, let us get to the big games on Saturday. Even though football season is starting, it is still really hot outside. And for me, that means hot, sleepless nights. Recently found a way to stay cool at night so I don't wake up all sweaty and sticky, though. Since I started using Miracle Brand self-cooling bed sheets, I stay comfortable all night long. How? Using silver-infused fabrics originally developed by NASA, Miracle Brand sheets are thermoregulating, designed to keep you at the perfect temperature all night long so you get better sleep every night. These sheets are infused with natural silver that prevents 99.9% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresher 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. Miracle Sheets are luxuriously comfortable without the high price tag of other luxury brands. They use a premium 500 thread count sateen weave that's made with USA-grown Supima cotton. Go to trymiracle.com/Andy right now to try it today. We've got a special deal for our listeners. Be sure to use the promo code Andy at checkout to save 40% and get 3 free towels. Miracle is so confident their product is backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you will get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Brand. Go to trymiracle.com/Andy. That's trymiracle.com/Andy and use the code Andy to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save 40%. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Andy. Labor Day weekend coming up next weekend. Huge college football weekend. I know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. I'm probably going to be doing some of it too. We're going to be partying a little bit. Well, the good news is I will have ZBiotics with me in case I am. Getting in that daily workout, you know how I feel about that. But until recently, if I had a few drinks the day before, maybe that didn't happen. Maybe some other stuff that needed to happen didn't happen. Now, though, I drink a ZBiotics before any alcohol, and I know the next day I'm going to be able to stick to my routine and be fresh as a daisy. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It is this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. ZBiotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down, and it's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it most. Just remember to drink ZBiotics before drinking alcohol. Drink responsibly, of course, and get a good night's sleep and feel your best tomorrow. Give ZBiotics a try for yourself. Go to zbiotics.com/Andy. That's ZBiotics.com/Andy. Get 15% off your first order when you use Andy at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Go to zbiotics.com/Andy. Use the checkout code Andy and get 15% off your first order. Where should we start? Where would our Nicole? You're joining us for the first time in this edition. Where would you like to start?
Well, what are the parameters of what types of games we're picking?
It can be a big game, or it could be one that you just think, holy crap, that line's weird.
Okay. Well, should we just start with the big game? Should we start with Utah, Florida?
Yeah, let's start with Utah, Florida. That is one of the biggest games of the weekend. This line has moved because I believe when they set the very early lines, Florida was favored, and everybody looked at it like, what? Why in the world is Florida favored in this game? Florida now a 3-point dog at home against Utah, which makes sense. Utah, very well-coached team, coming off a Pac-12 title. Florida breaking in a new coach, new quarterback, lots of new stuff.
Kind of new quarterback.
Yeah, we saw Anthony Richardson last year, enough to get really excited, but then he also got hurt a couple times. So, Ari, where are you at on this game?
I'm struggling with this one because I just want to be the SEC biased guy who just takes points at home for an SEC team. And I think that Utah is a very good football team, but I also I also like the fact that they're a very physical team and can really make some moves on the lines. But if you're giving me a talent advantage and points, like it's in my DNA to take that. Now, I saw that we had a lot of people on the athletic college football staff picking Utah to go to the playoff. I wasn't one of those psychopaths. Were one of you? Did you guys? Were you one of them?
No,
I did.
Yeah,
I was one of them, and
Cam rising all the way to the playoff.
Yeah, and Kim Rising was one of my Heisman draft picks. Okay, so I am all in on Utah. I thought that was trying to be I was trying to zig. I thought y'all would zag, and then half our staff picked Utah, so it looked like groupthink, and I hated it. But I did pick Utah. Have been high on them. Visited with Kyle Whittingham back in the spring. I just think they're really balanced. You're not gonna they've got a great running back and great run game. Trust Cam Rising in the passing game. It's really balanced offense. They're going to be tough defensively. They did have some weaknesses. We saw it get exploited against Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. At corner and some of those positions where when they were playing better athletes, they struggled. But I just feel like it's a program that has been building and building and building. It hasn't skipped any steps. And this is that next step. Obviously, we could be totally wrong in a couple days, and then poof goes my playoff pick because they may not be able to do it without this win. But I just think that this is the kind of game you've got to win if you're a playoff contender, and I think they are.
I am going to take Florida, and you can call me a homer if you like. But
Homer,
I think this is the week that they have an advantage because Utah has not seen these players in Billy Napier's offense. Doesn't know what Anthony Richardson will look like in Billy Napier's offense. My guess is it's going to be a run-heavy offense where they try to, Richardson and maybe Montrell Johnson are splitting carries, and they're hoping that the fear of Richardson in the run game leaves some guys open because Florida is not particularly dynamic at receiver. So that's one of their weak points. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here. I think that the element of surprise helps them win this one, and then maybe they drop it to Kentucky the following week. But I'm going to take Florida, especially if you're going to give me some points at home.
Was the Rose Bowl encouraging or discouraging for you guys when you think about what Utah could be this year?
Encouraging, because they had a bunch of guys hurt. I don't look at what Jackson Smith and Jigba did to them as terrible. I mean, and they were so banged up in the secondary. Ohio State would have done that to anybody with injuries in the secondary.
Yeah.
I think the fact that they were with injuries were able to keep up in that game was pretty impressive.
I mean, half of Ohio State's team wasn't playing because they were sitting out for the NFL draft.
And Ohio State still had a big talent advantage.
No, I know, but it's not like Utah was the only one limping in that game. It's like maybe that doesn't matter because Florida's not on that level at this point. But I think that going to Florida is what kind of is pushing me over the edge here. I feel like if Utah were a 3-point favorite at home, I might actually think differently because I think they'll be able to run the football. And Cam Rising did look really good last year. But who's the most electric player in this game? He's on Florida. Where's the game being played? At Florida. Who has the talent advantage? Florida. All the things that you kind of take into account. And I think that you can make the case that Florida has the quarterback advantage. We might not know it yet.
We don't know that.
In 5 weeks.
That's the biggest mystery. Richardson has all the tools. The draft guys are all over him. But until we see it consistently as a starter, you don't have to buy it yet. So I don't blame anybody.
Utah's schedule does kind of I understand the sentiment of picking Utah. I was just kidding when I called you a psychopath, Nicole. I think that it's actually
you can call me a psychopath for other reasons, but yeah, I don't think for this. I think it's a good dark horse playoff pick.
Ever since I met Bill Landis, everyone's a psychopath. I've been saying that for my dog's a psychopath. My daughter, when she's crying, is a psychopath. Everyone's a psychopath. But I do think that they have a schedule that sets up where if they're able to win this game, they basically have a two-game schedule for the rest of the year to get there because I don't know that anyone else will beat them. But they're on the road at Oregon, and then the USC game, of course, is one that I cannot wait to watch. And to really sink my teeth into that one.
So that means we got to have a bet.
We're going to have a bet. I'm like
probably
locked
involving Moochie's meatball subs. Moochie, if you've not had Moochie's meatball subs in Salt Lake City, the best meatball sub in America. It's the spicy sauce. Oh, it's so good. All right.
Well, there's one thing that Salt Lake City has correctly, and I want to know. Well, I know where you stand, Andy, because you don't like mayo. But the fry sauce thing,
it's Thousand Island dressing.
It doesn't matter. It hits, and it's everywhere that you go when you get.
They
should have fry sauce everywhere. Is what I'm saying.
Let's move from Utah. I want to talk about 2 noon games on Saturday that are fascinating to me because it is one of those in-state dynamics, and it's weird that they're both happening at the same time on the same day. So we don't have to do too much in-depth analysis. I just want to know what you think is going to happen. North Carolina is at Appalachian State, and NC State is at East Carolina. So you got 2 places where they are historically extremely passionate about football.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm raising my hand. I have a question. Why are these games being played on the road? Do you know? Do we know?
I think they're like 2-for-1s.
Okay. Because I'm shocked that North Carolina is playing at App State. Like, that is a recipe for an upset if I've ever seen one.
I mean, North Carolina is only a 1-point favorite, and watching their defense against Florida A&M, I am not.
Can we just say it? Because last week I think you were kind of pulling my reins in, Andy. And I don't know if you were watching the Florida A&M game from start to finish like I was for whatever reason. But
what possible reason could that be?
I was on a certain side of that bet that turned out to be right, actually. But I do think that game was completely and utterly embarrassing. And I know at the end of it, they almost covered the spread. They got into the 30s. The wheels came off for FAMU. But that team was playing without half of its roster on the road in a season opening game, and North Carolina could not stop them. So, like, what do people think is going to happen against a very good App State team on the road? There's a reason why this is a 1-point spread. Everyone that's begging you to take North Carolina. You want to know why? Because they're going to lose.
There you go.
I'm very passionate about that. I think they're going to lose.
The party on Friday night in Boone, North Carolina is going to be spectacular. It's already one of the great party campuses in America. This is going to be amazing. And then on the other side of the state, you go to Greenville. 10 years ago, I would have been picking East Carolina all the way in this game. But NC State's an 11.5-point favorite. I'm going to take NC State. Veteran team.
Yeah.
Great quarterback in Devin Leary. I'm taking NC State.
Would you say that this is one of the 3 landmine games on NC State's schedule, though?
No.
As an opener,
I think Texas Tech is, but I don't think this is.
Yeah, it's funny because all the comments, because like I was high on NC State coming into the year, and I think a lot of people think that they're a trendy dark horse, if they were able to beat Clemson for the 2nd straight year. But like everybody always just says like, oh, okay, well, love the NC State hype. That definitely means they're going to lose 4 games this year. And I'm kind of like on alert for that.
Fans are complete nihilists. Like they are ready for the world to collapse at any time.
Which in their defense, it has a lot of times.
Typically happened quite accurately.
And
happened that way.
Wildly, like stuff totally outside of their control. No, I think, I think NC State's going to be fine too. I'm really high on Devin Leary. I spent some time with him. He's a Jersey guy, so you know how I feel about Jersey guys. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe if it's not the opener, I think it's a little bit different, but I think it's easy to not look past, not trip up in this game.
Are you watching The Bachelorette this season, Nicole?
Yes.
I really thought that the guy from Wildwood, New Jersey, who owned the carnival games on the boardwalk is really cute.
Yeah, I was really happy about the Jersey Shore representation there, although Wildwood is a little bit not my speed. The town over Cape May is my favorite. But yes, I was glad. I think we need more Jersey Shore on these shows.
Andy, this is one.
We definitely need more Jersey Shore on reality shows because that hasn't been represented enough through the years.
There's diversity in the shore, okay? That town made popular by a famous show is what we call sleaze side, those of us from New Jersey. So we need other towns that are not sleazy to be represented.
Andy, one unintentional consequence of having Nicole on this show, and I love it right now when we have these picks, is the fact that you are going to be catching Bachelorette shrapnel once a week when I'm talking to her about that. Because like what we do in my house every Monday is that I'm the only guy. We have girls' night, and Britt invites all of her friends over. We got like 6 or 7 girls in here, and we watch The Bachelorette, and I talk with 6 or 7 girls about which ones I think are the cutest. And I really like the Wildwood, New Jersey guy. I thought he was handsome.
We talk about handsome coaches all the time.
Yeah, I think it's okay to recognize who's handsome.
You two are always talking about abs and who looks good. So
well, Andy has abs now, so we have to talk about him a lot. Yeah,
that's true.
I have not brought up the abs other than on your trainer, or well, your wife's trainer,
who texted me.
That was one of the most recent times I was here, though. So we were literally
the most handsome man I've ever seen in my entire life. And we talk about how handsome Matt LaFleur is in my household all the time too, because Britt finds him very attractive.
All right. We got to talk about
no more handsome men talk.
A guy who you are as weird as Ari.
This is going to be something it's going to stay with me like a stench now. Every time we talk about Michigan.
I hope it gets back to him somehow, and that you cross paths and he knows. Like, and there's just like
a handshake that you just both
instinctively. Right, but that like he knows this weird, like there's something that's pulling you towards each other, and like a weird handshake or something happens.
Yeah, like he'll be like, "Hey, I'm off, you're off. Let's be friends.
Yeah,
let's go climb a tree."
All right, so this is Colorado State, Michigan. Michigan's a 30.5 point favorite. I'm going to call this one the Cade McNamara game. When we reconvene for this show next week, I'll call it the JJ McCarthy game. Will Michigan cover in the Cade McNamara game?
That's funny that you look at it, because like both quarterbacks are going to be having to play their best game possible, right?
One would hope.
They would be incentivized to run it up.
I think Michigan's going to win by a lot. I will take Michigan in this game.
It's a plus 2,000 money line straight up on Colorado State.
I also think I'm going to take Michigan for the same reason, that they're incentivized to run it up, incentivized to do everything that's in your arsenal, because otherwise we're not going to learn much about these quarterbacks, because they're both playing teams that are essentially pushovers for Michigan that shouldn't be problems. So yeah, they're going to try to do as much as they can. I'm curious also, this is besides the pick, although it may impact how much they win by, like at what point are they going to pull Cade McNamara? Like how much of this game, if they're up comfortably, are they going to keep him in for?
I mean, I honestly, I'm not going to sit here and listen to you question scripture, okay?
Well, but Nicole asked a legitimate question.
It is a legitimate question. It's a really good question.
4 touchdowns. Do you send JJ McCarthy in with the 2s?
Yeah, like what if they're up 31-0 at halftime? Don't you still have to give him the extra half so that he gets his chance to audition? It's a very good question.
I don't know. I hadn't thought about
JJ
that.
The backup, or is the third string the backup for both of them in these games? I don't know.
Could you imagine if Cade McNamara was so good that Michigan pulled him in the second quarter, and then JJ McCarthy got to play the entire second half of the first game and then start the next one? I mean, these are the types of situations that make me miss being a beat writer sometimes. Because like that would be the thing that you would go to the stadium and you'd be like, okay, how are they going to do this?
You'd have a whole week to chew on that.
Like, yeah, it's just
radio in that market would be, well, it's a pro market too, but
my job was
an SEC town. It'd be crazy.
The easiest week of work I've ever had year of work I've ever had in my entire life was the 2015 Ohio State season. Because like there was never any need to think about what you're doing, because it's just so out in front of you all the time. And every week the circumstances changes. I'm going to actually have a prediction right now when it comes to Michigan, not about who wins. I guarantee you that however this goes, it's not going to be one starter the next week, and then a starter in week 3 for the rest of the year. It's going to go off the rails. Can I make that prediction?
Yes, by all means.
Nicole, do you think that they're going to be disciplined enough to name a starter after week 2 and stick with them?
Well, I think one thing that complicates it is that week 3 is UConn. So it's going to be another situation where they're going to be up big early and then
will both quarterbacks play against UConn, yes or no?
Yes.
Maybe that's a bad question because they're going to
question.
Yeah.
It's UConn. Maryland's next, right? It would be the question is like, do both quarterbacks play against Maryland?
Yeah.
I think that I'm with you, Ari, where I think this is all setting up because they want to pick JJ McCarthy. Because I think if you wanted to pick Cade McNamara, you handled it all differently. And you just say he did all the things that we asked him to do. He beat Ohio State. He won a Big Ten title. And you treat all of this stuff differently. But if you want to pick JJ McCarthy, you're trying to look for reasons to go with him by having this sort of play out as a preseason type approach in the NFL. So I don't know. I think that it's very possible it's one quarterback in the Maryland game. by that point. But that's still 4 weeks into the season.
I mean, I still think that I would take that if I were a Michigan fan. I'd be like, okay, I can live with that.
Their schedule sets up so nicely for that. I mean, not many other teams could do that.
The question that I have is, do you think that Michigan will have a drive after week 6 this year where they aren't sure who they should put in at quarterback?
I think they're going to know by then. I think this process should give them some clarity. And again, I'm with you, Ari. When we talked about this before Jim Harbaugh told us it was biblical, I do think this is the better way to do it if you have the luxury of doing it this way.
And now you've got the word of God on your side, and it should be even more. You should be even more convinced.
Solomon wrote it in Ecclesiastes.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to actually consult the Bible about some of these other quarterback competitions. I'm not sure how they're going to shake out once we get off this podcast.
Connor Bazelak or Jack Tuttle? Hold on.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm going a little Leviticus. Let's figure this out. All right.
I bet you if you did scan the entire Old Testament and like take out verses, you could make a lot of that should be a good story idea. If like one of us has to go read the Old Testament and pull out every line that you could make a pun about a quarterback.
Make about college football.
I think people would be offended by that though.
Let's go to a place where the quarterback decision has been made and then passed off to the SID to announce. Louisiana Monroe at Texas. Quinn Ewers, first start for the Longhorns. They are a 37.5-point favorite. This team beat a good Louisiana Lafayette team last year in game 1 and then went 5-7. I'm sure they cover this game. It's the next week I'm worried about. Well, not really worried because I either get mustard or I get to watch Ari eat mustard. And that's not really a bad thing either way.
Yeah, I feel like you're rooting to eat it. If I had to guess. But let me tell what's the number? You said
37.5.
Give me the points.
Yeah, I think Texas can score a bunch of points.
Give me the points. I'm not.
Oh, you're taking Louisiana Monroe?
Yeah, I think that Quinn Ewers will throw 3 touchdowns in this game.
How many interceptions?
At least 1.
I think they'll score a lot. I think they'll run it up. They need to build some confidence. They're going to be starting some young guys on the offensive line. I think Texas covers in this game.
Well,
I'm with Andy. I think it's
enjoy
the same
being
thing.
on Texas.
I think that I'm going with it. I mean, they have to do something heading into the following week, and with Quinn Ewers, your guy Ari. Okay.
Are you horns downing Texas once they
I went horns up?
Alabama?
No, I'm just saying. Like I think that
here's the thing that they're going to win but not cover, so he's horns up and downing.
Horns up to win, horns down to cover, not cover. Listen, if Quinn Ewers comes out and throws 6 touchdowns and they win 66-10 and he looks awesome like that, then like I'll be here next week, like ready to run.
I will be ready to watch you.
But I
mustard
do think that
happens.
there will be, from what I've heard about Quinn Ewers back from his Ohio State days and the time since that he's gone to Texas, is that he's not a finished product yet. And I expect there to be a dumb turnover or a mistake or a missed throw on 3rd down. I mean, 38 points is a lot. So you're like also making it seem like the other team can't score 17. Like, are they going to score 60 points in this game? Is Quinn Ewers going to look like John Elway out there? And if he does, I'll be happy to be wrong.
Okay, but if you have to think about the fact that one of the players on this field, it's going to be a touchdown in your mouth every single time he touches the ball.
It's true.
I mean, like,
break your mouth's ankles.
He's like Quinn Ewers is not going to have to do all of this kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm with Andy. I think they need it. I think they need to run it up. I think they need to show that they can do this.
Okay, well, I'm fading Texas just to get into the habit of it.
Very nice. All right, let's go to Atlanta. We got 2 huge games. Let's finish with those 2 huge games. Start in Atlanta. Oregon versus Georgia. The Bulldogs replacing 15 drafted players. Oregon, new coach, former Georgia defensive coordinator Dan Lanning. Probably new starting quarterback. Well, definitely a new starting quarterback, but it's probably Bo Nix, former Auburn quarterback. Ty Thompson is the other option. Georgia is a 17.5-point favorite. Nicole, who you got?
I got the Dogs. Despite all they lost to the NFL, they are clearly in my hearts and minds in the same category as Alabama, where there are just lots of blue chip, super athletic, super talented players ready to take over. I also have seen enough Bo Nix games to understand that you never really know what you're going to get. It could be great Bo Nix. It can be like chaotic Bo Nix. And at Auburn, he was a totally different quarterback at home versus on the road. And this is obviously in Georgia. This is going to be a tough environment. And it's just a lot to walk into, first-time head coach for Dan Lanning. I mean, obviously he's got some familiarity with that, with what Georgia's doing. But I just think they're going to overpower them. I think, if this game was played maybe later in the season or to open next year, I might be a little bit different. But I don't trust the Bo Nix experience in this situation.
I'm also taking the Dogs, but spelled DOGS. I don't know 100% for certain if I trust Georgia's offense to score 40 points in this game. And with all the people that they're having to replace and the intimate familiarity with the other opposing team that Dan Lanning has, plus the potential for Bo Nix mania, because it's always out there, right? You always have a shot at it,
right? You could get good Bo, and if you get good Bo, everything changes.
Yes.
And that hook was calling me. If it was 17 or 16 and a half, but that extra score there really makes me. I mean, I'm just also too just wishful that we're going to get some really good big time games this weekend.
I'm a little surprised. Like the line in this game and the line in Ohio State Notre Dame, really high. And maybe Vegas knows, right? Maybe these games aren't going to be close, but that is a little disappointing. I'm hoping that these are going to be good games.
Well, so I keep going back and forth on this game because Dan Lanning is the one person that you could play against who knows very intimately all of the Georgia defensive starters who are ascending to starting roles now.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what they're good at. He knows what they're bad at. He would have some idea of how to attack them. I suspect there's a chance that Georgia flexes and goes, you remember how we didn't take any transfers this season because we think our players are better than everybody else's? Well, here they are, and they're better than everyone else's. That's the part I worry about, because I was leaning very hard toward taking Oregon in this game. I think I've now talked myself into Georgia because I can just Kirby Smart is building Georgia exactly the same way Nick Saban built Alabama. They are going to reload every year. Losing talented players to the draft it's not going to be like LSU a few years ago where they just fell off a cliff. Like, they are just going to keep being good.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
But I still think they're going to make a playoff this year. I just don't know if they're going to cover the 17.5 in week 1.
Right. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
You don't know how explosive the offense will be. I think the offense will be, first of all, the offense was very efficient last year. They didn't always need it to be all that great. So other than the Clemson game, which was a JT Daniels game,
and the opener,
that was the opener last year. Yeah,
that was the opener. But yeah, I mean, Stetson Bennett could pile up points at the best of them against teams that they should.
They didn't need to score. They didn't need to run up the score on people. They just squeeze them to death with the defense. I think if they need to, if you rope them into a shootout, they're going to be comfortable in that too. So I was gonna take Oregon, and now I'm ready to take Georgia. So one more, and we can get to Florida State and LSU in our reaction show after the games on Saturday, because that game's on Sunday. We got time for that one. But we're gonna go to Columbus, Notre Dame, Ohio State. Do you guys see Malik Zaire tweeting on Thursday? Former Notre Dame quarterback,
psychopath.
What's everybody thinking? Why does everybody think Ohio State's just going to crush Notre Dame? But then you have the opposite of that, which is the why do you talk about Notre Dame all the time? Notre Dame's always overrated. They're like, if Notre Dame's number 5, then how is it a 17.5 point underdog to Ohio State? Well,
every number 5 would be.
Everyone under number 3 would be at least a 17.5 point underdog to Ohio State.
The world you want to expand the playoff into, but I'm not going to drag you into that again. But yes.
So now, how does Notre Dame cover this spread? How does it happen?
By dominating the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, which is certainly possible. I mean, do you think that a $2 million coordinator makes your team not soft in one offseason?
It's possible.
I'm all in on Notre Dame in this game. Now, Ohio State can win 52-10, and then they'll look like Megatron like 2019. They paid the guy a lot of money to fix the defense, but I think that Notre Dame has the advantage on the lines. until I see otherwise. Now, Ohio State's more talented, but I'm just not convinced that you just hire 2 new coaches and then all of a sudden the identity of what plagued your team a year ago just goes away overnight. Like, is Ohio State's defense going to be a finished product in the first game of the year? Or are there going to be some speed bumps on the way to hoping to build a defensive situation that can compete at a high level if and when you make the playoff at the end of the year? This is a pretty enormous spread for me. And I know that, I feel like a 38-24 type game is probably in line. I think Ohio State's going to win. I don't know that if they're going to be worried about losing in the fourth quarter, but I don't think it's going to be just a complete and utter embarrassment. I think Notre Dame will hit plays. I think they'll score. If they can control the clock a little bit with the lines. I mean, I don't know. Am I wrong about this? Is Jackson Smith-Njigba just going to have 500 yards receiving?
Like Harry Hiestand back coaching the offensive line at Notre Dame. All they did was make first rounders when he worked there before on the offensive line. So I'm not worried about that position. Michael Mayer is one of the most dynamic playmakers on the field. Now I realize Jackson Smith-Njigba and Marvin Harrison Jr. are on the other team, so they got some targets too. But I think we are underestimating the talent level of Notre Dame right now.
Well, it's a stark difference between the lines and the skill positions. Ohio State is completely outmans them on the skill positions.
Right, Travion Henderson especially.
It's the line. Now, Ohio State's got 3 5-star players starting on the defensive line. So if JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer turn out to be who we think they're supposed to be, then Ohio State could win the national title this year. But how much does a coordinator make people like? Does his existence there, the new defensive staff there, all of a sudden make Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau first-round draft picks next year, or do they have to build into that? So there's a lot there to build into. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I think even, if you're high on, Notre Dame's offensive line, I mean, some of these games that we've seen them when they played up against, some of the more talented, like the SEC, top of the SEC teams or Ohio State's, like they've had the size, but have they had the mobility in the same way that like these other defensive lines have had and some of the pressure that other teams have had? So would like to see some out of that. I mean, I think the quarterback, they still got questions, right, about what is the ceiling, like what is possible. If your best player is your tight end, how do you make sure that you get them open? You kind of need other threats in the passing game to create space, and so that you can't. So
Georgia has some answers to that
one-on-one.
So does Iowa.
Yeah. So I mean, you need to do that stuff. So it's just like I think there are paths to doing it, and I think Ari is totally right that one hire does not fix the defense that had a lot of issues and was giving up a lot of big plays repeatedly and being a step behind in all of these big games. But also, like, if this is one of the few games where we'll actually learn and see where they've gotten better defensively, because they're just going to be playing a lot of teams where they're overmatched, there's going to score 1 million points, and it's not going to like they're not going to be in pressure situations. So I think Ari, I think you're taking Notre Dame in the points, right? I mean, yes. I feel like I am there as well in part because who knows what we're going to see out of Notre Dame and how much they can keep up, but also because like I would like this game to be closer than the line suggests it will be, because I would like to see Ohio State. I would like to learn something about Ohio State in a closer game, even if they're not in danger of losing it.
Always the danger when you bet against Ohio State that the avalanche will happen, because it could happen.
Yeah.
Ohio State could be up by 21 at halftime and then just completely undress them. Like that's always on the table. But Ohio State's always been very bad, or like the last few years have been pretty bad at covering spreads, especially in games like this. And then the second thing I'll say is, I think Notre Dame isn't nearly as talented as Ohio State, but isn't Notre Dame the refined product of what Ohio State struggled with last year? Like, aren't they like a Michigan, Utah-ish type team that try to pounds it, has a really good tight end?
Yeah, they're gonna hit you. And so I understand exactly what you guys are saying, and I hope I'm wrong. But just like in the Georgia-Oregon game, I'm going to be the guy who takes the superpower to flex. And I hope I'm wrong, because for my viewership's sake, I want to see close games. But I do think you can change a defense's personality with a new coordinator.
You can change them from soft to tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder if tough is a acquired.
It also may not just be toughness. There also may be schematic reasons why they weren't that good last year.
Yeah.
Jim Knowles may be better at calling the game as the game is going on.
Yeah, true. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes like the offensive line and defensive line, it's just like, look at it. You know what's happening. Like they got physically outmanned last year.
Right. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen in this game. I really, it's hard to imagine Ohio State being like that 2 years in a row.
And they're hungry to prove that last year was a fluke. So, you know, I mean, but like to me, it's just like I've seen a lot of these 3 touchdown or 3 score spreads that Ohio State, you know, doesn't cover, even though they've looked like the vastly superior team for 4 quarters. We just go watch every Penn State game Ohio State's played against the Nittany Lions in the last 7 years. And they haven't been that great covering the spread in general, let alone a 17.5-point spread against another top 5 team in the season opener.
All right. So Notre Dame for Nicole, Notre Dame for Ari, Ohio State for me. Guys, we're here. The first Saturday of the college football season. Got some nice Friday night appetizers. This is going to be amazing. We will talk to you after the games Saturday night. The show is brought to you by Sling TV, the TV you'll love for a price